Welcome back. Well, it's the first Friday of the month, and that means it's time for another Eye on Terre Haute. We're joined now by Mayor Duke Bennett to talk about some of the city issues and what's going on in Terre Haute. Thank you for joining us, Mayor.
That's great to be here.
Thank you. So it's hard to believe, but 2010, the year is almost over. Let's talk a little bit about your administration over 2009. You have done a lot of things, especially, we were talking a little bit earlier before we were on camera, the budget. Everything kind of revolved around that this year.
Absolutely, and you know, it's kind of unfortunate because there's a lot of things I would like to be able to do, but you kind of get wrapped up into dealing with these property tax caps, and just kind of revenues are down anyway because of, you know, the economic situation we have. But it just kind of came all together where we spent a lot of time and continue to spend every day. We're dealing with next year basically, and you know, there's a lot more things I'd like to have done, but I feel like we have accomplished a lot of things. You know, the year kind of started off with all of a sudden the stimulus funding was such a big deal, so we had to, you know, put a lot of effort into getting our be in a position to get that money, applying for the money, dealing with all that, and then kind of dealt with the budget since then and tried to bring all that together for closure this year to get things done in order to take advantage of those funds that we do have. So it's just been kind of an interesting year. I think it's not typical for a city administration to go through a year like this one.
How long will those tax caps be in place? Well,
the final or the full implementation is next year, and then they're permanent. Well, we'll see. I mean, you know, through the law, they've established them to be permanent. Now we'll see if it goes and becomes constitutional. So next year, the full impact will be felt, which means about $5.5 to $6 million less a year the city will have that we've typically had every year previous to this.
So kind of when you were figuring out, you know, what you should cut and that sort of thing, you did these neighborhood summits, which is new for the area. Tell us a little bit about how you felt those went and if you'll be doing more of those next year.
Well, there was two reasons I did that. The first one was because I just feel like government needs to be open and accessible. I want people to be able to get to me and my department heads and ask questions without having to do it through the phone or email. And so that was one. I wanted to get it out there, get information out to people, let them know kind of here's where we're at. The second piece of it was to get some feedback from them about, one, what's going on in your neighborhood, but two, when we're prioritizing and looking at these budget cuts, how can they provide some feedback to me about what's important to them. And so we gathered information all year as we did those summits. And, you know, I think it's pretty consistent across town, but what's kind of, you know, I guess what you would expect to hear is they want more services, even though the money's being cut. So I think it gives you a chance to explain why we can't continue to do things like we have, and what can we improve on that doesn't cost us any money, because that's a goal of mine, is we've got to deliver better customer service as best as we can, but we don't have as much money, so you got to find that happy medium.
Do you plan on doing those next year as well?
Yeah, I think what I might do is consolidate a couple, because we had some that ended up being a little bit smaller than what we thought they might be, and so we may do 2 or 3 smaller neighborhoods in the same geographic area and have a couple of less meetings, but they went great and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
What do you say, looking back over 2009, what do you think is your administration's most proudest moment? What are you most proud of that you got accomplished this year?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we really focused on. One, well, we got a budget put together that we think is fundable. I think we're going to have to do some more cuts, but that's okay. Right now today we're looking okay. You know, we've got some projects that are beginning to take off this fall. It took us a while to work our way through that, but the Blakely Avenue, the Brown Avenue, those are 2 big ones for us. But I think probably one of the most, when we get to the end of the year here and we look at the statistics, I think you'll see a lot more action with our police department. We've had some major accomplishments, and when we looked at the data from 07 to 08, the changes we made in 08, you could see the impact. I really believe the impacts will be even bigger in 09. So we'll need another month or 2 to get the data together, but I can already tell we're trending towards solving a lot more crime, dealing with a lot more issues that way to make this a safer city. The other thing I would throw out there is just getting Terre Haute cleaned up. We've had major progress with our 2 cleanups, with our community corrections program, getting people to comply without having to, you know, send them through the court. We've picked up a lot of trash and done a lot of cleanup, planted a lot of new trees. So there are things that may not be flashy, but they're expectations. You expect a clean city, and I think we've really worked on that. So I'm pretty proud of that one.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mayor, and for what your administration has done this year. We look forward to seeing what you guys do in 2010.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
And if you'd like to see this segment again, or you have a segment idea of your own, you could always log on to our website at WTHI-TV.com and click on the community page.